Hi, Catherine here from greenthickies.com.
Today I'm sharing a recipe that's going to blow your mind. I want to introduce you to my melt in the mouth cheesy kale chips recipe. If you've never tried kale chips before, you're in for a treat, because once you taste these, you'll never want to eat a different kind of chip or crisp again. My little boy, who doesn't like any vegetables, can't get enough of these. Just one serving of these kale chips gives you 17 grams of protein and all of your daily requirements of vitamin B1, B2, B3, B6, B12, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K, and half of all of your minerals needed for the entire day. They contain around 295 calories, which is a good filling post-workout snack or for some healthy evening munching. I eat these every day as part of a planned nutritional program, and I couldn't think of anything I'd rather be eating. Seriously. I'm going to be showing you how to make these in either an oven or a dehydrator, so just use what you've got.
I'm going to show you a really cool way to strip your kale or your herbs of their stems really quickly using this nifty little tool called a kale and herb stripper, and this is available right now. There's a special offer on this tool in the store. If you go there right now, follow the link that I leave on the screen. So I'm going to show you how it works. So this tool has got lots of different sized holes. It's got large ones and tiny little ones. The tiny ones are for herbs and the big ones are for kale and leafy greens, like chard, things that have a big tough stalk that you don't want to eat and you want to remove. So previously, if you wanted to remove the stalk, that big tough bit in the middle that you don't want to eat, you'd probably have to get a knife and then chop all the way down like this, on a board of course, and then remove that section, and then start on that side, and then chop all the way down here, keep moving your fingers down, and then eventually you get it off. So that's what the process is usually like. And there's the kale, and I'm going to show you what the process is with the kale stripper tool. So what you need to do is you need to match up the size of the stem with the hole in the kale stripper tool, and this will become second nature in time. It might take you a couple of seconds just to determine which one it is, but this one will become natural to you as you start doing it. So let's start stripping some kale. So what you do is you push it into the hole and you literally just push the tool down. You pull the stem at the top as you push it down at the bottom, and there it is. In seconds, it's removed the stem. So that's all we need to do. So I'm going to do this bunch of kale chips now so that I can make a great big bunch of kale chips, which I love. My son goes crazy for these kale chips. He can't get enough of them, and it's a great way to get leafy greens into your kids. So this is a really fast way to do it. It takes seconds. Stripping all your kale with a tool like this. Here's a little tiny one, so I'll just show you a smaller one. There we go, seconds. And that is all my kale stripped completely with this cool tool. So that's how long it took. So to prepare my kale for the kale chips, I just want to cut these big leaves into thirds. So I'm just gonna get a bowl and I'm just gonna cut about a third of the way through. There, move down a little bit more, and again, cut through. There we go, all the kale is in a bowl now, so all we need to do now is put on the sauce that we're going to use, and we need to massage it in. So here are the ingredients for the cheesy kale chip recipe. About 6 to 8 cups of kale, which has been stripped and cut into chunks, and 2 cups of my beautiful raw cheese sauce, and I'll leave the link to the recipe so that you can go and make this, because once you taste this you're going to want to use this sauce for everything, believe me. Okay, so this recipe is really simple. All we do is we take the kale and we pour the cheese sauce into the kale, and then we're just going to use our hands to massage all the cheese sauce into the kale until every piece of kale is completely coated with cheese sauce, which should take a few minutes. I was just eating a bit of the cheese sauce there because it's just so delicious. I just can't get enough of this cheese sauce. This recipe is perfect for kids and adults. Everybody that has tried this recipe goes crazy for these kale chips, and you will never need potato chips, potato crisps ever again once you taste these. And it'll give you so many nutrients, especially if you cook this recipe. Say cook it, if you prepare this recipe in the dehydrator, then it avoids baking all of the nutrients out of the kale and out of the nuts and all of the other raw ingredients in this recipe, so it remains completely raw. And also it's much tastier if you leave it in a dehydrator, because it just stays nice and crispy. You never have to worry about it burning. You don't have to watch it, you can just set it and forget it, which is perfect for me because I tend to forget about things that I've left. So that's why I love the dehydrator. But if you don't have a dehydrator, don't worry. I will leave you instructions for how to cook this in the oven so you can get a taste for how delicious this recipe is, and then you'll probably want to start saving it for a dehydrator, because this recipe tastes a million times better with a dehydrator, but you'll still enjoy it cooked in an oven, and you'll probably want to retain all of those nutrients as well by getting yourself a dehydrator. And they are quite cheap these days. You can get really cheap dehydrators on the market now. You don't have to get a top of the range brand, they still work. Maybe not quite as well, but there are very good alternatives to the top of the range dehydrator, which I got one of them myself. It wasn't too expensive. It's like a 9 tray dehydrator. It's not an Excalibur, which is the brand name for dehydrators, but it works really well in my opinion. Better than these round ones that I had before, because you can't always get these Teflex sheets to fit the round dehydrators, so that's a bit fiddly. So what you need is you need to get your dehydrator trays, and you also need a Teflex sheet to go on the top of it so that the kale chips don't fall through. So that's why a square one is a good idea in my opinion. So you're just going to lay the kale chips, once they're all coated, onto the Teflex or the silicone dehydrator sheets, and just lay them in one layer so they don't overlap each other, otherwise they'll take longer to dehydrate. And we're just going to leave these in the dehydrator for about 24 hours, but it doesn't matter if you leave them longer because they'll still be just fine, and they'll be perfect when they're very, very crispy. You can just try one, and if you just try one you won't be able to stop, believe me. They're so tasty. So be prepared for that if you're on your way out the door or something, like I sometimes am. I get one taste of these and I'm still munching 5 minutes later. So just try one, and if it's nice and crispy, then they're ready, you can serve them. If it's still chewy, it needs a bit longer, and these keep very well in a sealed container for a few days, or maybe even a week or so. Maybe longer if the container is sealed very, very well. But if they do go a little bit chewy, if you've left them too long or air has got into the container and you haven't eaten them straight away, which is unlikely because, like I said, they're so tasty. If they've gone a bit chewy, all you need to do is just pop them back onto the dehydrator sheet, put them back in for like half an hour or something, and then they'll be crispy again. Beautiful. Just perfect. So just pop these in and wait until tomorrow and they'll be all done. Here's the cheesy kale chips, and these are absolutely amazing. They should just be able to lift very easily off the non-stick dehydrator tray. If they don't lift off really easily, try leaving them on for another 12 hours or so. But because of the sauce, they don't come off quite as easy as my other recipes, like the crispy kale chips, but they still should come off fairly easily, especially if you've used a mesh dehydrator sheet so that they can breathe and they don't go soggy underneath. If you've used a silicone sheet, then you might need to turn them over halfway through and then put them back in for another, say, 12 hours or so. So they seem to lift off okay. So they might not actually make it onto the plate because you might just like shove them all in your mouth like I sometimes do, because they're literally so good. Once you taste these, you will never go back to potato chips, to potato crisps ever again. I promise you. And your nutrients in your body will go through the roof. Check these out.
I really hope that you enjoyed this recipe, so please like it if you liked it and subscribe to Green Thickies for more great recipes like this.
Take care. Bye.